Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga Flow. We're in the month of March 2025. We are working on a little bit different topic each class this month. I had some nice special requests for things. One of them was hamstring flexibility. So there'll be a lot of time spent on the hamstrings. I'm also going to work on mobility of our ankles. And our ankles do different movements. So, for instance, if we point our foot down this way, this is called plantar flexion. So, the bottom of your foot is the plantar area. So, if you get a plantar wart, it's on the bottom of your foot. So, if I point, that's plantar flexion. Now, if I go the opposite and I pull my toes up, this is called dorsiflexion. And you might think of a shark. He's got the dorsal fin, right? So when your foot is up, it's like the dorsal fin is up, and that's called dorsal flexion. So that's how you're going to remember those two things. Now, we also can move our ankles out like this so we can roll onto the outside of our foot. This is called inversion. And then if we go this way, we roll to the inside of our feet. It's called eversion. So inversion, eversion. So our ankles move side to side, and they can also circle, right? So that's called circumduction. So we're going to be moving our ankles through all of those positions. And my main focus on this is that the more we have flexibility in our feet and our ankles, if we're walking on an uneven surface or snow or something like that, we're going to be able to keep our balance better. So with flexibility comes stability. So we want to have that movement in the joint. So you will need a block today. We'll be doing some stretching with the block and also with your strap. And if you need to do any of this pre-work sitting in a chair, feel free to do that. But I want to stand up as much as possible through these segments so that we can work on our balance. So all I'm going to have you do is stand on your left foot and put your right foot slightly ahead. It's almost in a tandem stance. And bend both your knees a little bit. And then draw your shoulder blades back. Now, if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, then I just want you to soften your gaze so you can barely see. And then take about 3 to 5 breaths. And I want you to start to center and ground for your practice today. Coming into the present moment. And then we'll open our eyes and then switch your feet so that your left foot's slightly in front of the right. And you can have your feet wider if you need for base of support. Bend both knees. Draw your shoulder blades back. Lift through the crown of the head. Maybe close your eyes. 3 to 5 grounding breaths. And open the eyes. And then step back in. Now, I don't know if you noticed any micro movements in your ankles or not. When your ankles are tight, you're not going to have much movement in through the ankles, side to side, forward and back. So now we're going to take our body center of gravity and shift it forward so you feel like you're coming toward the plantar part of your foot, the ball of the foot. And then you're going to come back to your heels a little bit. And you can even pull your toes up if you want. So we'll come forward and back. And this might be just small because you might feel like you're going to topple over, and I don't want you to lose your balance. We're just shifting center of gravity. And then come back to the center. Then take your body over to the right, and we're not leaning over. We're just keeping our body straight, and we're putting more weight on the right foot. And then take your body to the left, putting more weight on your left foot. Now, as you start to do this, I want you to roll your ankles a little bit. So as you go to the right, roll your feet. So I'm on the outside edge of my right foot, but I'm on the inside edge of my left. And then go to the other side and roll your feet. So one foot is in inversion, while the other foot is in eversion. You don't need to know which one's which. No pop quiz after class. But just to know that there is a difference between those anatomical movements. Now, what would happen if we kind of made a circular action? So I'm going to go forward, to the side, back, and to the left. Forward, side, back, and left. So when I go forward, my toes are kind of gripping. When I go to the side, my feet are inversion and eversion. When I go to the back, my toes come up, and then to the left. I know you're saying, okay, Lisa, here you go again. This is something we've never done before. This is pretty cool. You must stay up at night thinking of all this stuff. I love to make class interesting and unique and variable for us all of the time, because it's good for not just our body, but our brain. Now you're going to go the other way. So go side and back, side and forward. And maybe you say, well, I could do this better if I was holding on to something, and that would be just fine. Absolutely fine. We'll go about 3 more times around this direction. And it's okay if it doesn't feel natural. You're going to learn how your body does this best. Still good posture. 1 more time around. And then come right back into the center. Just check in. I felt definitely some work in my ankle and shin. Now you may need a wall or a chair for support as we stand on our right foot. We're just going to lift the left knee in single leg stance, and then we'll go into dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Flex and point. This is one of the rare muscle or joints that we say flexion for both directions. Maybe there's only one. Might just be the ankle. Good, let's do 2 more. 1 more. And then lower that foot down. We get to balance now on the other side, picking up the knee, single leg stance, and then we'll dorsiflex and plantar flex. Good job. Use those balance props as needed. 3 more. And I want you to go as far as you can in each direction, so we're getting range of motion. All right, let's lower down. Switch again. We'll lift the knee and do ankle circles. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reverse. Good. Back down and switch. Good posture, shoulders back, nice long spine. Knee up, single leg stance, and circle. 5. I'm trying not to move the rest of my leg as much as possible, but it wants to move. Reverse. 5, 4, 2, and 1. And come on down. Now we're going to shift the weight to the right foot. Pick up the left heel. Then put it down, shift your weight to the left foot, pick up your right heel. So if we do this in each movement, we stop and then we do the next movement. That's a little bit easier to stabilize and balance. But another option is to switch in midair. Switch in midair. Ooh, that's a little harder to balance. So either one of those, fine. You're getting the same movement, but you're getting more balance here. This is sometimes known as prancing. You'll hear that in Pilates. We do it on the reformer, also called running. But one foot is always stable to the floor, the plantar portion of the foot. And let's do one more of each. And then both heels down. Okay, we are going to stretch the calves two different ways. So I want you to step your right foot back and push your heel down to the ground. And your back foot should be pointing forward. If you turn your foot out like this, you're not going to get the stretch. So press your heel down. Try to keep this back leg as straight as you can. So you need to switch on your quad muscles. And then we're going to raise upon the toe and press down. You can use something for balance, or if you'd like to let your arms flow forward and back, you can lift, inhale, press back, exhale. And I want you to notice where the stretch is in your calf, mostly where you're feeling it. 3 more. So this is dynamic stretching or flexibility through movement. 1 more. And hold that heel down. We can keep the arms behind us for a nice chest expansion. We can lace the fingers together, or you can hold on to a wall. Now really fire this glute and this quad, and you're trying to straighten that leg as much as you can. This is a static stretch. Again, notice where you're feeling the stretch. And then we'll release the arms. Take a little baby step forward with your back foot, so just a little bit. Put your heel back down. Now bend both knees, especially the back knee. Ooh, that's a little different feeling. So this is stretching a muscle called the soleus and also the Achilles tendon. So be gentle with it, not too much force, and just let that muscle lengthen and stretch. Anything you'd like to do with your arms is fine. All right, let's press up to straighten the legs. Switch the feet by stepping way back with the left foot. The foot is parallel. Press your heel down. Really straighten this back leg as much as you can. And then we'll lift off the heel and press it back down to the floor. Now, the further back you step with your foot, the more stretch you're going to get, right? So if I'm up here doing it, I'm not going to get as much stretch as if I'm back a little further, because that forces the foot to dorsiflex deeper, as long as I'm getting my heel to find the mat. Three more repetitions. You're getting a nice stretch through that first joint of the toes when you're coming up. Make sure that feels comfortable for your feet. Last one. And then hold it down. Take any arm stretch that you'd like. Maybe this one you want to come up into goalpost. Tighten the left gluteal. Tighten the left quadriceps by trying to really straighten this leg back behind you. That's going to release your hip flexors, as well as give you a deeper stretch through the calf. Okay, let's take a baby step forward with the back foot and then bend both knees and sink down. So you should feel this stretch lower in that back ankle, where when our leg is straight and we're stretching the calf, we get the big gastrocnemius muscle, that big ball that you see in the back of your calf there. When we do this one with a bent knee, we get a little muscle that's lower down and almost slides underneath the gastroc, called the soleus. One more breath. And press up. Okay, now we're going to stretch again a little deeper through the calf by using our block and our body weight. So let's step onto the block with the ball of your right foot and then just hold it here. I have my back knee bent. Now, so this is an option for this stretch, just to stay here with your foot flexed up against the block. You're not having to use the muscle of your shin to lift your foot up. The block is holding it up. So this is more of a passive stretch. Now, if you'd like to stretch a little deeper, then I want you to stand up on the block with the ball of your foot and then let your heel drop down. And I'm just keeping the big toe of my left foot on the floor, but you could maybe wrap your foot around the back of your ankle or lift your knee up, whatever you'd like to do with that foot, and hang down. You can do this from a stair, which is great. For me, it's not as comfortable on the block when I'm barefoot. Kind of depends on the block you have, but this cork block is pretty hard, so I kind of feel that under the bottom of my foot. But sometimes if we do it with a shoe, we don't quite get the flexibility that we would when we're barefoot. Okay, let's go ahead and switch. So we'll start with the first option, just putting the ball of the foot up on the block. And I'm kind of pressing forward a little bit with my body weight. And I'm feeling this really high up in the, what would be called the proximal area of the calf. Proximal means closest to the midline or to the center of our body. Distal would mean further away. So the calf it's a long muscle, so the proximal area is the higher portion. The distal would be the lower portion. Okay, would you like to try the other one? Drop that heel down and stretch. Good. Standing up nice and tall, just breathe. Try to relax that muscle. Now we're going to have a segment of exercises that are done on hands and knees. So if any of you, Joyce, if you want to stay standing up because of the knee replacement, then you can use your chair to put your hands on and you can stay upon your feet, or anyone else that would like to do that. Okay, so let's step off the block. We'll set that to the side. So your option, if you're not going to your knees, would be to put your hands on your chair and to do these exercises in this position. I picked up one of these really cool little gardening things. I haven't tried it yet for my knee. I've been using a blanket, and this is harder, but I'm going to see how this feels. Okay, so let's come on down, hands and knees, or hands and feet, and find a nice neutral core. And then let's just move into cat and cow. So if we do cat, we tuck our tailbone under, drop the chin to the chest, round the back, separate the shoulder blades. And then the reverse is cow, where we let the chin glide forward, the shoulder blades glide together and back, and then the tailbone really lifts up and we find a nice arching of the back. And then round up into cat. Exhale all the breath, pull your abs in. Inhaling into cow. Make sure you're bending your elbows a little bit, they're not locked out. Let's do one more of each. Coming up into cat. Should feel really nice on your low back, mid back, upper back. And then our cow pose. And then find your neutral alignment. So it's wherever you feel you have a natural curve in your lower back and your head is completely neutral as well. Let's extend your right leg straight back. Make sure your hip doesn't lift up. We want to let that hip lower down so our pelvis is level. And then we'll flex and point the ankle. So we have dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. If you'd like a little more balance challenge, lift your left hand off the mat, coming into spinal balance or bird dog. All right, you can put your hand back down and then allow the ball of your foot to find your mat and then push back into that foot. So you're stretching through the calf. You can stay here, or if you don't mind a downward dog with your shoulders extended, lift up and come into down dog and really let your right heel drop down. Now, what I like to do here with my left foot is to press down into the top of my foot and toes a little bit and stretch the arch. And that to me feels really nice. I used to have a nice ballet toe point, and my feet have just tightened up over the years. And so I'm not able to get that nice ballet toe point in Pilates class. So this is a nice stretch for that. Okay, let's come on down. If you need a break for your shoulders for a second, take a little child's pose or any way you want to get off your hands. And then we'll come back to hands and knees or hands and feet standing up. We'll send that left leg straight back, level off your pelvis, and flex and point the ankle. Option for the right arm to reach forward. So we want to be sure not to look up here. As soon as we do that, the rest of your spine wants to follow the lead. And typically that will take your back into more of a lumbar sway. So we want to keep the head position neutral. All right, we can let the hand come back down. Put the ball of the foot to the mat and then just press back, get your stretch. You can stay here or you can come into your down dog, lifting up, really let your left heel sink, and then stretching the top of your right foot is an option into the arch. So you can still do your down dog if your hands are on the chair. That works just fine. Two more breaths. I know this is hard on the shoulders sometimes, so do what you can. All right, let's lower back down, taking a break for the wrists. You can circle them around a little bit or flex them the opposite direction. Okay, let's do a full downward dog, either using the chair or down on your mat. We'll tuck both toes under, lift the hips up, and let those heels drop. Now, I wish I had a $20 bill for every time I heard the question, do my heels have to touch the mat? No, they don't have to touch the mat. And sometimes folks really, they want to be able to do that. So what happens is they start to walk their feet forward. Oh, great. Now I can touch the mat. But that's really not the true position for a downward dog. The true position is if we come forward into plank, we should be able to find a really good plank and then notice where your hands are under your shoulders and where your feet are, and then just push back from there and don't move your feet. Let's hold two more breaths. Now, it won't look like that if you're standing up and using the chair, though, but that's okay. Okay, from our down dog, let's walk the feet forward until we come all the way to the top of the mat and do a forward bend. You can put your hands on top of the chair. You can use a block. You can place the hands on your shins or clasp your opposite elbows and let everything hang into a rag doll. And when I do that, I just like to move around a little bit and just let everything relax in the low back. And you can have a pretty deep bend in your knees here. They don't have to be straight. Okay, bend the knees a little deeper. Let the arms come forward any amount into chair pose, Utkatasana. Drop the shoulder blades down and back. Really steady into your feet, but maybe a little bit more weight toward your heels than in the balls of the feet. See if you can lift your toes up a little bit. Abs are drawn in, 2 more breaths. Then press into the feet, rise up, reach, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. Press the palms together and drop the thumbs into heart center. Okay, using the chair in front of you, we're going to stretch our hamstrings and also focus on some balance. So if you need to hold on to something, have that available. We'll step most of our weight to the left foot, pick up the right heel, then we'll lift the right knee up and we'll extend the leg forward and bring it in. Now, if you can't get your leg completely straight, then I want your knee lift to be lower. So I want you to be able to get your leg to straighten all the way out. So this position of your knee is all up to your flexibility to be able to get your leg straight. Fire this quadricep. Now let's straighten that leg out and hold. Now if it's a little bit bent, I'm not going to have a problem with it. Do what you can and see if you can lift this leg up and down. 4 more. Up and down. 3. Stand tall. 2. And 1. Then bend the knee and bring the leg down. Wow, you should have felt a lot of work in the quadricep on that right leg. So let's switch to the left. Bring your left knee up and then see if you can get your leg to straighten and bend. Wow, for me, this is still so much different on my knee replacement leg. I can tell this thigh just does not have the strength back yet, but it's just taken time. Now check your posture, because sometimes when we extend the leg out, our butt wants to curve under to give us that. So keep your pelvis level and straighten. Lower the knee a little bit if you need to. And let's do 2 more. Hold this last one straight. Hold it. And see if we can pick it up 5 times. 1. Wow. 2. 3. Doesn't have to be very big. 4. And 5. Rebend the knee. Set the foot down. Whew. Okay, stand close enough to your chair or whatever surface that you can use for hamstring stretching. We'll bring the right knee up again. Extend your leg out to that surface and stand. Now, hopefully you'll be able to get your leg completely straight, but if your hamstrings are really tight, you still might have a little bend in your knee here. If you have something lower you can put your foot on, that'd be great. Otherwise, go ahead and let your knee bend as much as you need here. Now I let go of the wall, so I want you to try to balance. And if your back leg is directly behind the front leg, like a tandem stance, it'll be harder to balance, so you can spread your feet a little wider. You can slide this leg over to the right a little bit, so you've got a wider base of support. Now, if you feel a really big stretch here, then you can just remain as you are. And let's see if we can tighten the front of the quad. So you're going to tighten the muscle, and you'll almost see your kneecap go whoop. It slides up a little bit as that muscle pulls on the patellar tendon and slides the kneecap. So we're going to contract, release. 3 more. Contract, release. Thigh muscle 2, release. Now contract and see if you can hold a little contraction here. And then we are going to take our upper body forward any amount. That is a big stretch. Let's stay here 30 seconds, guys. Go look at my clock across the room. Now our toes are pulled up, which makes this harder. If you're really having a hard time with this stretch, go ahead and plantar flex your ankle, and this will make it a little easier. Because we have fascia that connects all these muscles, and when you dorsiflex, it puts that fascia on stretch, so it makes this even deeper up in the hamstring. 1 more breath. And then come back out. We're going to leave the leg up on the chair. Again, if you need something for balance here, great. And we are going to press palms at heart or hold on to our balance support and try to turn the upper body toward the front leg. So coming into a twist. Hold. Ooh, that's a challenge. 5 seconds. And back to the midline slowly as we rebend this right knee and set the foot to the mat. Just take a pause. What are you feeling? Surprisingly enough, the most of my sensation is in the standing leg, my left leg. I'm really feeling the work from standing and being stable on that leg. So let's switch our body weight into the right foot. Take the left leg up. Wow, this is a big stretch for me just as it is. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to tip forward on this side. I'm going to try just staying here. Find your good posture. And let's do our contract release on this side. So tense up the quadricep. That's going to pull your kneecap up and release. Contract. And it helps for you to put your hand right there so you can feel, is it really doing it? Contract. Release. 3 more. 2 more. Then try to contract and hold it. See if we can come forward a little bit. Oh my goodness, this is so much different on the knee replacement side. Sometimes our yoga practice tells us a story and speaks to us a little differently every day on where we are and what we need work on. So this is really eye-opening. Remember, you can plantar flex the ankle to make it a little easier. Ten seconds. Balance and flexibility, stability. All right, let's come up. Remember to hold on to something if you need to as we come into our twist. So we'll be turning left. and hold. That brings the stretch into my IT band on my left leg. It's kind of in the outside of my left hip. Two more breaths. Back to center. Be careful. Hold on if you need. And then step that foot back down. Now, 5 or so minutes ago, we did a down dog and we did a forward fold. I want you to see how differently these feel now. So if you're using your chair, bring your hands to the chair, walk your feet back, and do your down dog, or come down to the mat, walk them back. If you need to find your correct placement, you can do your plank first and then push back and drop those heels. I don't know about you, but for me, this is a big difference in the flexibility of the back of my legs now. I feel like this is so much easier this time after doing those deep hamstring stretches. See if you can tighten up your quad muscles. And then walk back into your forward fold, because we've got to repeat that again. See how much that has changed in the past 5 minutes or so. You can do your ragdoll. And I feel like my legs are much straighter this time than my first forward fold. So that feels like a big difference. Let's stay here about another 20 seconds. Two more deep breaths. And then start to bend the knees deeper. Let your arms come forward any amount, coming up into chair. Make sure your knees are tracking. They're not bowing in or out. Shoulder blades are down. Weight is toward the heels. And then press all the way up to a nice mountain pose. Okay, we are going to connect some poses into a flow. I want to give you the opportunity to use your chair or your mat. So I'll demonstrate it with the chair first. So let's take a nice inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees slightly, reach down to the chair. Step your right foot way back. Press down into your heel and come up into a crescent lunge. Now, usually crescent lunge, the back heel is up off the floor. But because our focus today is stretching the calf, I want you to push that heel down. All right, let's reach our hands back to the chair. Step the front foot back so you're in a down dog, and you might have to adjust both of your feet. Stay in down dog or glide forward into a plank. From your plank, slightly bend your elbows, chaturanga. Let your hips drop and come into an up dog using your chair. And then press back into your down dog. Walk your feet forward so you're in forward bend. Bend the knees deep, come into chair. And then we'll do the other side. Inhale, press up, reach. Exhale, bring the hands to the chair. Step your left foot this time way back. Push your heel down and come up. Now you can do anything you want here with your arms. Allow this part of the practice to be to your own finesse. What I want you to focus on is that stretch in your calf on the back leg. And then we'll reach our hands back down to the chair. Step the front foot back so you're in a down dog. Really reach through the shoulders, stretching the lats. You can stay in your down dog or shift into plank. Bend your elbows a little bit, chaturanga, then let your hips drop down and your heart shine forward, up dog. Make sure that feels okay for your lower back. Then press back into your down dog. Walk the feet forward as many steps as you need, forward bend. Bend the knees deeper, chair pose. Inhale, stretch up. Then press the palms and draw thumbs to heart. So I'll progress to the use of the mat. If you need to stay with your chair, that is there for you as your option. Okay, same flow. Inhale, reach. Exhale, dive down, put the hands on the chair or the mat. Step your right foot back. You can see your foot, so try to push your heel down to the floor and come up into your lunge. I do like the goalpost arms for this. Anytime we have the chance to open up the chest and the fronts of the shoulders is good. Try to get that back leg really straight and the heel down. All right, we'll reach the hands to the chair or to the floor. Step the front foot back, come into your down dog. Now, if you don't want to do the little half series vinyasa, just stay here in down dog and stretch. Otherwise, come forward to plank. Bend your elbows a little bit. Let your hips drop. Come into a little up dog. Or you can go all the way to your belly and do a cobra. And then push back to your down dog. Take as many steps as you need to walk feet towards your hands, coming into forward bend. Bend the knees deeper, chair pose, any arm position that you'd like. And then we'll do the other side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands come to the chair or to the floor. Step the left foot back. Make sure your foot is parallel. Drop your heel down. Come on up. Find your balance. And a strong and stable left leg. All right, let's bring hands to the chair or to the floor. Step the front foot back so you're in your down dog. Really press away from the hands, drop the heels down. Staying here or glide to plank. Bend your elbows a little bit, chaturanga, then let your hips drop. Let your heart shine through. You can let your knees touch the mat. And push back to your down dog one last time. Walk your feet forward back into our last forward bend. Bend the knees deeper. Rising into chair pose. Inhale, reach up, maybe a little bit of a baby back bend. Let the palms connect. Drop the thumbs to the heart. Okay, it's time to take us down to the floor with your yoga strap as an option for one last deeper stretch for your hamstrings. Now for this one, if your hamstrings are really tight, you can have your chair close by to set the foot that you're not stretching up on top of the chair. A little bit better on the lower back. So that would look like this. If your lower back does pretty well, then you can slide one leg under the chair. So let's do the left leg down on the floor or up on the chair, and then we'll loop our strap under the bottom of the right foot. So I like the left leg down because it does open up my hip flexor, but it certainly can put more pressure in the lower back. So if you're feeling that, then just bring that left foot and put it right up on the chair. I can feel a huge difference in that. And nice neutral spine. Okay, so as we do this stretch, I want you to repetitively turn your foot in and turn your foot out. So I'm not using my leg bone to do this. I'm just using my ankle to turn in and out. And again, if your hamstrings are tight, your leg needs to be down here to feel like you can get it straight. That's great. There's nothing magical about getting your leg up high to 90 degrees. Now turn your foot in, keep it in, and then slightly bring your leg across. Ooh, this is a nice IT band stretch. And down the outside of your shin muscle, the peroneus longus. And let's hold 5 breaths. If you're watching later on YouTube and you want to stay longer, just hit that pause button. Okay, let's bring that foot back to the center. Now turn your foot outward and take your leg out any amount. So you've got a little bit of your inner thigh. Also, while you're still stretching your hamstring, you might have to reach your left arm out to the side to counterbalance so you don't roll over to the right side. I think this might be easier if my foot was up on the chair. I'm going to try that. Oh, yeah. When my foot's on the chair, I can balance better and really take that leg out. All right, let's bring the leg right back to the center. Deeply stretch the hamstring one more time and hold 5 breaths. Okay, let's take a moment to switch sides. So right foot either comes to the chair or down to the floor. We loop the strap around the left foot. And then we're going to turn our toes in and out. And really try not to let your leg bones move. I'm just going to narrow this down to the ankle as much as possible. Okay, turn your foot in and then slightly bring your leg across the midline of your body. You still want your left hip on the floor. And let's get that IT band. 5 breaths, nice and slow and deep. Come back to the center, let your foot turn out, and then open it to the side. And I don't have the space here. I guess I could move over a little bit. I might be out of camera view. So the foot is turned out. The leg is open to the side. This is called horizontal abduction of the hip. Two more breaths. And then bring the leg back to the middle. We'll take one more hamstring stretch here, as deeply as you can comfortably find your edge, and hold 5 breaths. And now let's release the strap. We'll put both feet either on the chair with knees bent or both feet on the floor with knees bent as we come into a bridge. And I kind of like the chair sometimes for this. So let's lift our hips up. I feel so much more hamstring activation when I have my feet lifted up on the chair. But either one is fine. So this is a nice isometric activity, which means we're holding the muscle still. And we're going to be putting isometric work into our classes